Well, hello everyone. Welcome to World at War Comics. My next special guest is Mr. John Bua. He is the writer and creator of Heroic Tales. Also, John's Longbox on YouTube. I'm a subscriber. You should go over there and check out his channel. A lot of amazing guests. John, pleasure to meet you, man. Welcome. Hope your Sunday's going all right.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. There's a lot of fun. I enjoy talking to people about comics, which is the whole
Yeah.
reason I do my YouTube channel.
Exactly, man. I love your early morning Sunday where you take like a different random issue and kind of go through it. A lot of gold and silver age. You got quite the collection, man.
Yeah, I'm out of my
50,000 plus
mind.
comics.
I'm sorry.
50,000 plus comics.
Yeah, the last inventory it was 55,000, and my database crashed, so I'm in the process of re-inventorying. So I'll find out
Wow.
exactly again.
So
Yeah,
you go
I
box
Sunday
by
comics.
box.
I'm sorry.
You go box by box and you have like an app where you put all the information in.
Yeah, yeah, I got this scanner right here.
Oh, wow.
So I scan the barcodes of the comics. The comics that don't have barcodes, I type them in. It's called comic. What is it? A comic base. Comic
Comic
base.
base.
Yeah. So I use that. I scan it in. I've been using it for years, but my hard drive crashed.
Oh,
Luckily, my computer has two hard drives. I One of my friends said put two hard drives in just in case.
yeah.
So that was destroyed, and this computer is now dying. So I got to get a new computer. That's neither here nor there. But I,
It,
I I'm using that as a means of content. So
yeah.
as I scan the comic, I'll make like a 3 minute video for two reasons. One, people seem to like it, and then two, for insurance reasons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could document. Yes, I did have Fantastic Four #1. I'm not just lying, and whatever. We could check out the video. And
Point. That's a
yes,
good point.
for Sunday, you brought it up at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday. I do Sunday comics.
Yeah.
It's, harkens back to when we got the newspapers and had the Sunday funny Sunday comics. That was a big deal in my house. So I like that. So I take out a comic. It used to just be like issues that I liked and I would talk about them. But now that I got a big audience and my friend Pete, his wife got into comics. So she was like, "Oh, could you talk about this?" And I was like, a light bulb went off. This is a good chance to talk about important key issues. So some of them I've already done before, but now I'm interacting with people. Like just today, I did Amazing Spider-Man 39, which is the first John Romita Sr. issue.
Yeah.
So, and then like I've done my Fantastic Four #1, X-Men #1, Justice League #1, Daredevil #1. And I think I did all the first appearances. Not, I didn't do, what am I talking about? But I did all the old early Marvel ones. And now I'm just working my way to key issues. I'm at the point now. I think I'm going to put Twitter polls and ask people what do they want to see next week, because that's the hardest part, is coming up with ideas. But
Yeah.
I like doing it. I used to say that that was my favorite thing that I did on my channel. I have to say my new favorite thing is Kelsey Shannon and I do a semi-regular show. We call it Two Beards, One Comic, and we've been talking Jim Starlin's Warlock.
That's
He
cool.
came on for a talk, and he was talking about Nexus, and I said I could see Nexus hanging out in a space bar with Adam Warlock having a drink, and he was like, "Yeah, I never read the War." I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So I ordered him to read the comics, and I said, "You got 2 months, or I'm going to spoil the greatest ending in comic book history." So he got shamed, and now we talk
You're
about it.
talking this one, right? This Nexus?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Mike Barron's
Mike
Nexus.
Barron, yeah.
Yeah, if you go to Indiegogo right now or Fund My Comic, either one of them, whatever you prefer, uh, Nexus Scourge. I got to give my buddy Kelsey Shannon and Mike Barron a shout out. So that's my new favorite thing. We get like 100 viewers, which is big for me, and we talk and people asking questions. And Kelsey's so much fun. So
Yeah.
that's my new favorite thing, because I got a buddy with me, and that's what I wanted to do when I start my channel, is to talk comics with people, because it started during COVID when everybody was weird and nobody was coming out of their houses. So I wanted to talk comics with people, and I also moved, so I didn't know any people in my new area. My old friends weren't coming out of their houses. As far as I know, they still don't come out of the house. They all work from home. They
Oh,
went
wow.
nuts. So I started a YouTube channel, and then from the YouTube channel, it kind of, I want to say snowballed, but it was a long, slow
Yeah.
Sisyphean effort to now making my own comics.
I love it. I love it, man. That's pretty exciting. How long have you kind of had in the back of your mind this story to create your own comic book? How long have you been
Okay,
studying that?
that's a long. Forgive me.
It's
That's a
okay.
long, complicated story, but the beginning is me and my buddy Jimmy and my other friend Mike, who also made his own comic. We've been friends since we little kids, and we play Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm.
You know, we learned how to play Dungeons and Dragons, but at my heart, I've always liked superheroes. And I forget who it was, but they were like, "Do you know that there's a superhero Dungeons and Dragons?" And I was like, throwing my Dungeons and Dragons. Like well, I did play Dungeons and Dragons after that for a specific reason, but we played a game called Villains and Vigilantes. It's by Fantasy Games Unlimited. I think it came out in like 1982.
Uh,
And if I was smart enough, I would have had it with me. But so it's a superhero role playing game, and you roll 3 dice 6 for your strength. Like it's just like Dungeons and Dragons. To me, it's a vast improvement, and it was no going back.
yeah.
And then we've been playing, and somewhere around the age of 12, we should make our own comic books about our characters. And yeah. And then in the 90s, I created a forum. You remember message boards?
Oh
They don't
yeah.
seem to be around anymore. But I made a message board that's still active. So I'm going to give a shout out to my other thing, www.villainsandvigilantesforum, one word.com. And
Nice.
that's, I was pretty much the only active person on the planet that kept an internet presence for this game, Villains and Vigilantes. So without getting into all the politics, they started suing each other and fighting. And I was like the child, like, Mommy and Daddy are fighting. This guy was trying to recruit me against that guy. That guy was trying to recruit me against that guy because I was the only one doing Villains and Vigilantes on the internet.
Yeah.
So I write all my story adventures and all down, and I'm like, this is all fodder for a comic book someday. So long story short, today is that day. My buddy Mike 10 years ago started making a comic book based on our adventures. And I was like rooting for him. And I was like, wow, trying to learn from him. And then he got married, he bought a house, he had kids, and all that stuff got sidetracked.
Yeah.
And when I saw that Richard C. Meyer of Diversity in Comics and RJ from the Fourth Age, they started making comics. And this doesn't mean to see, but they were nobodies in the industry. You know what I mean? They were just fans.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, they're getting Chuck Dixon and John Malin and all these names to make. I'm like, I could do this too.
Yeah.
So I started interviewing with people. It's not a sinister purpose, but I was like picking people's brains. How do you make comics? What do you do? And at first I felt bad because I'm like, I'm inviting them on my channel and I'm really just trying to sift them from it. But everybody, once they found out, they were like even more helpful.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to do this. I was like, oh, okay. Everybody's been so nice, so pleasant. You
Yeah.
know, people have been going out of their way to like give me information on how to make comics. So it's been nothing but a pleasure. So
Yeah.
to make a long story short, I now have Heroic Tales #1 on Fund My Comic, and we're just about to hit the second stretch goal,
Yes,
which are
you are.
cards. Yeah,
Yes, you are, man. You've done pretty good, man.
yeah,
376% to goal, so I think that's pretty good. Not too shabby. Yep.
yeah. Well, this is gonna sound, but I lowballed the goal
Yeah.
because if you hit the goal really fast, everybody's like, wow. But if you put the actual number you need and you don't hit it, people are like, oh, this is failing. So yeah,
Yeah.
little inside baseball there.
There you go. There you go. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I don't think people realize how expensive our hobbies are when it comes to creating your own comic books. So I'm glad that you're moving forward. You're at almost $3,800, which is awesome. And you
Yeah.
still got a long time to go, so there's plenty of time for people to jump in. But yeah, let's kind of get into the actual comic book. What I'm gonna do, John, if it's okay with you, I'm gonna share my screen. I have the
Oh,
fun
please.
comic up in the background here. So let's take
I
a
love
look.
the toys. I have all of those toys too, and they're all in storage bins. And the past couple of days, I've been getting an urge to put up to fix up my shed. I have a shed in the backyard, but I hire people to mow my lawn, so it's
Yeah,
empty. It's just filled with bins of toys. And
I love it.
I'm going to put shelves and I want to make a sign that says the Fortress of Solitude. When you open it up, it's going to be all toys.
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah, yeah. No, I have a small addiction just like you, and I
Oh,
got quite a few toys around the room.
yeah. Oh, like I said, my action figures. I still got toys behind me, but my action figures are all in bins,
Yeah.
and
I
I'm
got,
and I'm missing them.
I love it, man. I absolutely love it. I'm like you, John, man. I've loved comics my whole life, and I just want to talk comics, man. I don't care
Yeah,
about
I just
anything
want to talk
else.
comics. I don't want to. Yeah, and if you follow me on Twitter, Zentorian 2000, I
Oh,
always have the hashtag It's About Comics. I'm trying to remind people it's not about me,
yeah.
it's not about you, but paradoxically, it is. It's about all of us. It's about comic fans, but not, as much as an individualist as I am, it's about comics.
Yeah.
It's about heroic tales now. It's about my character, the Patriarch. Me, I'm secondary now. Like I want people to love my comic. If you like me, great, but I want you to love my comic. And I think with I think the enemy has been defeated. I think we all know, even in Marvel and DC, we all know that they're dying. And now that the dragon is defeated, everybody's fighting amongst themselves.
Yeah.
And I just hate it. It's really, really disheartening. And I want people to remember it's about comics, because it's one of the only three American art forms, like baseball, jazz, and comics.
Yeah.
Nobody could argue those are American.
Very
And
much so.
and I say to people, if baseball was dying, if nobody was going to the ballparks and nobody was, my scanner just showed up. I'd like to think that all of the Major League Baseball players would get together and go to children's hospitals and have exhibition games and not fight. But comic book people, they just want to fight. I don't understand. Like, I'd like to think the jazz people would, like, I don't know, start teaching people to play instruments and whatever. But
Yeah.
comic books were weirdos.
Yeah. Yeah. That's for sure.
Enough ranting. But this is my comic. Thank you for showing this. This is
Of
Rogue
course.
Tales
Of
number one.
course. Yeah. Yeah. So this looks awesome, man. So let's scroll down and look
Hey,
at,
yeah, go to campaign. You're on
yeah,
updates.
there we go. There it
Which
is.
reminds me, I got to update. My wife had a a really good suggestion. I got to update today.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah,
Well,
my wife has been very, very helpful. So
that's the
I
you
listened
need
to
that,
her
man.
advice.
You got to
So
have
this
that.
is the Patriarch. This is my character that it's a funny story. My buddy Mike, who has a comic, he just finished up on Kickstarter called the Marshall Strong. He's a player in my game,
Mm.
and he was helping me move. And I was like, what would be funny? I'm going to make a comic book called The Patriarch, and he's just going to be toxic masculinity personified, and his power is going to be the male gaze. That ought to piss people off. And then I drew a costume for him, and I started coming up with a backstory. And I was just, you know what? Making a comic out of spite is a bad idea. But I fell in love with this concept of he. So I threw out this mean spirited character, and I made a character that I love. He's the Patriarch. He's inspired by Superman, but he's vastly different than Superman. He is a father. He's a father figure. He's a loving husband. He's a devoted father, and he's a beloved superhero. And in his heart of hearts, he wants to be home with his family and his kids, and playing games with the kids, playing catch, doing whatever, reading stories and whatever it is that, and being with his wife. He wants to be with his wife. His wife is not a harridan either. She's a supportive. They are the perfect family. But in a world where there's superheroes, in the world where there's psycho villains, in a world where so they're kind of hidden off for a story that will be revealed later. And that's going to cause tension because the oldest son is 19. He doesn't want to live on the farm. Like, you need superpowers to get to the farm because it's up in the mountains, unless you want to, repel and things like that. So the boy wants to, Dad, am I a prisoner? So there's problems in paradise. He's a good dad, but good dad's got to let the kid go. But the children don't have superpowers. In my world, there's only one way to get powers. And being born by somebody with powers doesn't give you powers. I don't want, that's a big plot point that'll be brought up in issue 2.
Mm.
So it's a blue sky love letter to Bronze Age superheroes, meaning it's a complete story. So I wanted to make it as affordable as possible. You're going to get a complete story. A few people got mad when I said this, but I don't mean it in any ill will. But this is crowdfunding. We don't really know when the next issue is going to come out, and I think it's a big ask to ask you to pay $25 for a partial story, then $25, maybe 9 months, maybe a year from now to get the rest. I don't even remember. So my pledge is every issue is self-contained, but you will be rewarded if you read them all in order because it's like old Marvel comics. Issue 100 and then 101 and 102, they build up. Yes, to me that was the funnest part of comics.
Yeah.
You know,
I love
I
it, man.
know you put me in salesman mode. I could talk
I
forever.
love it. I mean, that's why we're doing this, John. Not a problem. And let's talk a little bit about the art, man, because the art,
Okay, yeah. Scroll
Renzo,
down. Get
absolutely
the full
incredible.
image.
I love the art in this comic as well, man. So here, I think this is Renzo, right? Or is this
This
Pat?
is Renzo Rodriguez. Renzo.
Yeah.
I first noticed Renzo Rodriguez. He did work for Richard C. Meyer. I can't remember the name of the story, but it was the woman who learned secrets. But what
Mm,
I just remember he did the Brooklyn Bridge. That's the image that sticks out.
yeah.
But when he did, that wasn't a superhero comic. But when he did art for RJ's Thomas Valiant, I was like, oh my God, this looks like an old Marvel comic. And when
Yeah.
I say old, I mean great. I don't mean bad. I mean wonderful. Like I'm talking John Bua and George Perez. And if you're too young that you don't understand who they are, then just guys take my word for it, or don't take my word for it. Look up George Birch. It is phenomenal. The best superhero comic book art you can
Legend.
find.
Legend.
So I asked RJ, I said, would you be upset if I asked Renzo to do art for me? And RJ graciously goes, I don't own Renzo. He wants work. I could only provide him with so much work. So I asked Renzo. He was doing a lot of people's comics at the time. So I just waited. And then when he said he was ready, I sent him the script. He liked it. He liked the concept. He's a dad. He said that he liked the idea of somebody writing about fathers in a positive way. So he did this, and oh my God,
Yeah.
every if well, the next issue, I mean, scroll down. I'll get back to Renzo in a second, but this is Pat Broderick,
Yeah.
one of my favorite comic book artists of all time. I had to contact him. So this is a variant cover that you can only get on Fund My Comic.
Mm.
So this and it's the same price, $10. And scroll down is for my favorite image of all time. This
Yeah.
I wanted. This is going to be the back cover, so it doesn't matter which version of the comic you get. This is the back cover
Mhm.
because you only get one chance to make your first issue, and I wanted to make like what is the image that encapsulates everything about the patriarch. So I kind of pictured almost exactly this
Oh, wow.
while commuting from work, and I messaged Renzo and I said, could you draw this? And I said, stop what you're doing, whatever for me, stop what you're doing and draw this, and we'll get it colored and we'll use this for promotion. Oh my God, this is awesome. This is my favorite comic book image of any comic.
Yeah.
I was about to say real, like my comic's not real, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, and,
It's
and I and I
beautiful.
love this. This is his farm. That's his wife down there with the pink hat. That's his daughter next to the wife and all of his children. He's got two sets of twins that go from the mother's side. And they homeschool, they homestead, um, just like I want to say like idyllic Norman Rockwell life if your dad happens to be a superhero.
Yeah.
But there will be problems, and people already noticed this, so I'm not giving away spoilers, but you can see the wife has burns on her.
Yeah.
There's a reason why. I don't want to say they're hiding, but they're hiding, kind of, you know what I mean? So that'll probably be addressed in issue 3 or 4. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it'll have the best emotional impact if I put it off for another issue. But that's what they do. And the oldest son is at that age now where he's 19 years old. He wants to go start his own life, his own family. He wants to go to college. He's been homeschooled, and it's time to make a name for yourself. And he doesn't. He's a dad. He loves them, but
Yeah.
he knows what's out there, kind of thing, and
Yeah.
whatever. I think that's a plot point for some drama in the future.
Oh, for sure. I mean, as a father, right? You experience a lot of things your kids haven't experienced yet, and you know what they're probably going to get involved in, or
Right.
you know what I mean. So there's always that worry, like you got to let them go, but you're like very worried about how they're going to react to things that maybe you didn't react to so well as a father or as a child getting into that same age, right? So it's like, I I know the temptation, man, but you got to let it go, right?
So issue 1, he's been a superhero for 20 years.
Mm.
So he's 42 years old. He
Oh,
got his powers 20 years ago. He was 22. And so I will be going back in time and showing like a young, inexperienced patriarch. But at this point,
yeah.
there's only 2 other superheroes that are more experienced than him.
Mm.
And one of them is kind of like aging out, and one of them is just a legend, so like he's actually like involved in politics and being courted by world government, stuff like that. And he also is too, but he no, I got my sphere of influence. I got my family. Well, he doesn't say that because again, I don't want to get into the world thinks his wife is dead,
Oh, okay.
and the world, so he doesn't want to. So like there's a woman that's always chasing after him, and he's always like, bye.
Yeah.
So she's like, look at me, but he doesn't want anybody to know that the wife is still alive. They think she burnt up. I probably just gave you some spoilers there. No, I definitely gave you some spoilers there.
Well, I can't wait to
But
get my copy, man. This looks
oh,
freaking
thank you. So
looks
this is
amazing. Here's
the
some of
first couple of pages. This is the first page. This is Boss Moxy, and those are his henchwomen. And I Richardson Meyer, when in one of his videos, said, "Don't people just rob banks anymore in comics?" So as an homage to him, the first thing you see is a bank robber, an old-fashioned bank robbery. And I even said that I want to start with an old-fashioned bank. So I was like, it's got to be an old-fashioned. So this is Boss Moxy. Um, he's going to be the second trading card, which is about to be unlocked. So I don't think I'm telling tales out of school because it's going to have his origin on the back of the card. He
Yeah.
was a construction worker, construction foreman, who just woke up one day, started talking like a 30s gangster, and is robbing banks. And
I
he's
love
he's
it.
he's like was it Dillinger who just robbed banks in the broad, like he just takes people by surprise. He got a machine gun. And then he's so successful that he started to get like a harem, I guess is the only way to say it. These women that are just helping him rob the banks, and like he's like a celebrity, Boss Moxie, so
I love it.
but I wanted to. It's a subplot in the comics that you won't get from issue number one. But I wanted to address, why does Metropolis, why does Gotham City, or especially Gotham City, why do people dress up like clowns or penguins or cats and do all these crazy things? But they don't do it in Mesquite, Illinois, and they don't do it, in Miami, which is a big city, because there's something wrong with Gotham, is the way I always took it. So there's something wrong with Science City.
Yeah.
And that's going to be, you know, and already there's foreshadowing in the images that you're already seeing on the first page
Mm,
that'll be addressing this, so.
awesome.
And then this was the first page that Renzo actually sent to me. This is
Oh,
page two, the first appearance of the. Oh my God,
look
when
at
I saw
behind right
this.
here.
Yeah, there's this the Colossus of Rhodes in the background, the statue
Yeah.
that's in the heart of Science City.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah, and you notice there's dirigibles,
Yeah.
because and I want to have like more Art Deco. There's something about Art Deco and superheroes that just goes together like chocolate and peanut butter. And I love that. If I should, I will probably put it in the issue, the actual drawing that I did of the Patriarch, and then you compare it to this, and
Yeah.
because I can't
All right,
draw.
you're not that much of an artist, John?
No, I've
No.
been drawing my whole life, and it's funny. My friends are like, you're so good.
Yeah.
No, no,
Nah. Well,
not
this
at
is
all.
pretty amazing. Now, what time frame is your comic taking place, right? You have this
It's
character
right
that
now. It's
so
2024.
it's that same time right now. So it's
Right.
not
If you notice on the
future.
cover, they all got cell phones, and
Yeah, very good.
yeah, but Boss Moxie's crazy. There's something wrong with the city that makes people go crazy.
I love
And
it.
here he is. Like I wanted it to be important. He's a father figure.
Mm,
He's inspired by Superman, and to me, that's Superman's greatest power, is that Superman inspires hope, and people want, when Superman shows up, you sit in your seat better. You're like, oh wow, it's almost like he's like an angelic figure. And
yeah,
when people forget that, they do bad Superman stuff. Like the Man of Steel forgot that about Superman. Like even if you don't know who Superman is, you're like, who's that guy? I want
yeah,
to know that guy. That guy's cool. You know what I mean? Like you
yeah,
don't fear Superman. If you fear Superman, you're writing the wrong. But because the Patriarch, I want to lead into the father stuff. Your dad doesn't want to beat you.
yeah,
A good dad doesn't want to beat. So when he shows up, he doesn't want to beat up Boss Moxie. He could.
yeah,
So he's, you notice he stops a bank robbery with the maniac with the machine gun. There's no punches,
yeah.
and he kisses the woman on the hand. He's a gentleman. You know, that's like another thing is people think he's single, and the women flirt with him. And I wanted to play up that old superhero trope. You remember the Spirit from Will Eisner?
Oh yeah.
Ellen was always throwing himself, and Sans Serif was always throwing himself out, and then the Spirit would go run and hang out with Ebony, which was a little weird. And then you had Billy Batson, who was a child turned into Captain Marvel, and then
Right.
you'd have Butia hitting on him, and he was a kid, so he flew. So I wanted a Plastic Man would like, stay away from the women or whatever. So I
Yeah.
wanted to bring back that old trope, but there's a reason
Mm,
because he's happily married.
mm.
He wants to go home to his wife. He's not a cad. He's not a scoundrel. He's not, sleeping around or anything like that. So, but he's, thank you. This woman says something when he shows up and he
Yeah.
kisses her on the hand. And then if you notice this, that woman in the black skirt,
Yeah.
she's giving him a look because that's a subplot that'll be
I love
that'll be
it, man.
showing up. Yeah. And I
That's like,
just love this artwork. And the
oh,
colors by
art is
Daniel De La
incredible.
Silva Rodriguez is just phenomenal.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. The art, that's obviously, as a comic book fan, you want a good story, right? And if it's not a good story, you'll never go back to the comic again. But it's really the art that grabs you at the beginning,
Right.
right?
I say that the art is what brings you in, and the story is what keeps you.
Exactly. You got to have both.
Once in a while, you'll get like Todd McFarlane that'll keep you reading Spawn because let's admit it, Spawn kind of the story wasn't that great after a while, but the
Yeah,
art was phenomenal. But now they fixed that.
yeah, yeah.
And this is him. He's trying to get home, and one of the things he does is he has like a clairvoyant sense. He doesn't have X-ray vision. He doesn't have telescopic vision. So what he literally does is he releases his senses. So literally, his all five of his senses leave his body, almost like an astral spirit, kind
Mm,
of, and it goes at the speed of thought. And he picks up that this, so he's vulnerable. So he'll only do it when he's flying or when he's in some place. Because if he does it in the middle of a crowd, he'll get hit by a car.
mm,
You could shoot him. Because he can't defend himself. So
right.
he'll have to go up in the air, and he's checking. He's a good guy. He wants to go home, but car goes off the cliff, and he has a family that he's got to save.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. So he's almost like scanning the area just to see if there's anything else that needs to be done before he
Right.
heads. That's
But
awesome.
it also takes effort because Superman seems to be able to just know everything and see everything. So it's kind of like part of me is just like Superman, you're being selfish going home. Like, don't you somewhere in the world because he has like galactic vision. The
Yeah.
Patriarch is a lot weaker, and all of his powers take an effort.
Mm,
So like when he's home sleeping, he's it's not like he's like, I'm gonna ignore that kid. That
yeah.
guy got shot in an alleyway. I need to. No, he literally can't.
Mm,
There's a point where he needs to stop. Otherwise, like you and me, you can't just constantly chop wood all day long. You
right.
need to rest. So he has what I call Marvel weaknesses. When I say Marvel weaknesses, like logical limitations. It's
Yeah.
not just the color yellow or kryptonite or
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah. I love it. I
And if
love
you scroll down, there's a little Easter egg in here. If you notice that panel with the gas,
it. Uh-huh.
the children have toys in their hand.
Oh yeah.
You should recognize it, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to see if I can make it bigger.
He's got a Want to just tell you?
Yeah, please.
He's got a wolf and Batsy.
Oh, it's Brian, man.
Yeah.
That
Brian has
is,
been Brian has been an invaluable help with my comic.
he's one of the most genuinely amazing, nice human beings. I love Brian, man. If
Yeah,
you don't like
I
Brian,
love
something's wrong
Brian.
with
He
you.
was one of my. Well, I didn't, I just got Wolf and Batsy because
Yeah,
I'm an Alterna fanboy. I just get everything by Alterna Comics.
too. Me too. Yeah.
They're a company that just loves comics,
Yeah.
so and that glorious newsprint. So
Yes.
I just got Wolf and Batsy. He's like, yeah, I'm getting Alterna, and I loved it. I loved it so much. I did a video on it that like an hour after I read it. Brian saw the video, reached out to me. I invited him on my channel,
Yeah.
and there's not a day that we talk every day. I
Yeah.
bounce ideas off of him. He gives me advice. So I was like, Brian, would you think it's okay if Wolf and Batsy was a cartoon in Heroic Tales universe. So it's, it's a cartoon that kids watch.
I love it, man. That is so cool, man. I love it, man. Brian's such a good guy, and I'm a big
Yeah,
fan of Wolf and Batsy as well. So I can't wait for my issues. I think it was
right. Any
10
minute
through
now.
12.
Any minute now. I'm
Any
waiting.
minute now.
Yep.
That's awesome, man. Well, what a way to honor such a great creator himself,
And
man.
you can see he's using his powers to repair things. Like, I
Oh, so
just wanted
he can
people.
repair the vehicle and everything too?
Yeah, he
Oh,
has powers. Well, the car, you're gonna get the card, and the card is gonna tell you his powers. So I was
okay.
keeping it a secret, but now that the
Yep.
stretch goal is unlocked, on the back of the card, it's
Uh-huh.
gonna have him written out like a Villains Vigilantes character. I actually spoke with the owner of the game,
Uh-huh.
and he gave me his blessing to put the V&V stats, which I wanted to do from day one, but I
That's
didn't
cool.
want to do it without permission.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
he said, yeah, use V&V because V&V's came out in 1982. It's a dinosaur game, you know what I mean? So any interest, this guy's like, yeah, sure. So and so I'm
That's
gonna put his stats. So the Patriarch is telekinetic. He's like Jean Grey.
hmm
Okay, so he doesn't have super strength. He doesn't have invulnerability. He doesn't have, and then he has this psychic senses. He's more Jean Grey than Superman,
Mm.
but he dresses, but he doesn't tell anybody what his powers are. So he comes off as this Superman character,
Right.
like he's telekinetically lifting the car through his hands,
Yeah.
but you know, maybe moments of naive, like he should be like manipulating the car, but so he's concentrating and he's fixed because it's kind of hard to, it's easy to just pick up a boulder. It's hard to smooth things out there. He's
Yeah.
actually really concentrating right here. And
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why he talked down Boss Moxy.
Mm.
Could he deflect 80 billion bullets? Like he could defeat Boss, you swat the gun out of the way, and then it goes off. So he just wanted to
Yeah.
do the best he could without anybody getting hurt. And sometimes it's literally just talking to people.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like you said, when you do something wrong, your dad just doesn't walk in with a beating.
Right.
You,
Yeah.
you got to talk first.
Yep. Understood. Yep.
And you see
Completely.
they got cell phones. And this is a coin that's an add-on.
That's
It's the
pretty
size
cool.
of a nickel. It's the weight of a nickel. So it's $5. I actually found a foundry in Norway called the
Cool.
Norse Foundry, and they make these coins. I've used them before for events. I used to host a board game, like miniature board game conventions, and
hmm
people would pay to come in, and I wanted to give them something.
Oh, that's
So,
cool.
so I gave them a little coin, that I designed. So now I'm like, you know what? I'd like to make a coin for all the characters. So
Yeah.
for issue number 2, I'm going to do it again for the other character in issue
Oh, that
3.
is cool. So
Yeah.
every
So for
issue, your plan is to have a different coin for a different character, then, huh?
yeah, one side's always going to say Heroic Tales, and the other
Yeah.
side's going to have their symbol
That is so cool, man.
because
That's a great idea.
I think a symbol on a. I'm I'm old school. A superhero has to have
Yeah.
a good name, and the name is the focus of the character. If you don't have a good superhero code name, you
Mhm.
don't have a good character. And I know this is blasphemy. This is why I don't like Cable. Cable, how does that explain the character? How does that focus the character? Like, oh,
Yeah.
he's a guy from the future. He's got psychic powers, but he's got a bionic arm and he uses gun. You might as well name the guy Pistachio as much. You know what I mean? It doesn't fit. So
Yeah.
if you don't have a good name, there's nothing else will grow. So the Patriarch, and then from the Patriarch, I'm like, okay, the Patriarch is a Latin word, and then the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire, they had the laurel wreath for victory. So it all just crystallized. That's why he was purple, like the Roman Emperor and everything.
Yeah.
So and that became part of his background because of the name. Everything grew. His wife is Greek Orthodox religious because don't they call like bishops patriarchs or
Mhm.
I'm not Greek Orthodox. I don't. So she's Greek Orthodox. He's Roman Catholic. He's Irish and Italian. So you know, for that Roman connection, all because I came up with the name Patriarch, and that's what I'm talking about. The name is the focus,
Right, right.
and then you got to have a symbol. You got to
I
have a
have a
symbol to
symbol.
be a superhero.
Yeah, absolutely. And
And
will
then
you have some of the coins for villains too, or just the heroes?
if let's be realistic, we got to make money. If fans demand it, then I'll make coins, I'll make glasses, I'll make t-shirts, I'll make whatever you guys want. But right now, you know,
Yeah.
right now we got to get to the point of you
Fair
know,
enough, John. That's fair. That's fair.
yeah. And then the pint glass, if you could see, I made a pint glass with the
Oh, that
logo
is cool. Yeah.
because I was just like, what would it some swag that would make sense for a character that honors fought. He has a beer when he comes home. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh,
Kick
and
back and have a beer after a long day
yeah,
of saving people, right? I love it.
right. So I said, when the comic is out and everybody gets their stuff, I'm going to put an open invitation to everybody who got a pint glass. Put
Yes.
as many people as I can. We'll all have a beer together.
I love it, man. I love it.
And this stretch goals, I got 6 cards. So the first card got unlocked, and
Yes.
that's going to be the Patriarch. The art is already done, and uh, I'm sending Nick the back of the information today so we could. I have a template because it's going to look like the old V&V ads from the 80s.
So
We're
cool.
close to the second card, which will be Boss Moxy, and then the next 3 cards will be the henchwomen. We got Doll, we got Moll, Dame, and Gams, and then 8 is still the secret because
Very
that's the
good.
main villain of the issue. Not
Nice.
and also I guess I should say this is all on Fund My Comic.
Yes.
But I'm exclusively on Fund My Comic. But when that runs its course, I'm going to do Kickstarter
Ah,
because why not?
yeah.
I,
Why not?
people don't like to talk about this, but it's the ugly truth. I it costs money to make a comic book, so I don't want to close off any streams
Yeah.
of revenue. So Kickstarter, and then when I go to Kickstarter, I'm going to have another variant cover. The
Mm.
Pat Broderick is only available on Fund My Comic. So for Kickstarter, it'll be Michael T. Gilbert, who you might know did Mr. Monster,
Sure. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and it's already done. It's already colored. The original art's hanging up in my room.
That's cool.
It's vastly different, but Michael T. Gilbert, tongue in cheek, he's very humorous. So I could see some people being like, "Huh?" But
Yeah.
I love it. And then when I'm done with Kickstarter, I'm going to go to Indiegogo, and I have Mike Gustovich,
Yeah.
who you
Oh,
may know
wow.
did Justice Machine, and oh my God, did he get better and better and better? The guy's like 80 years old, and he's a phenomenal. Like the only way I could describe it's John Byrne inked by Jim Starlin is the only. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
So but I don't want to reveal that because he loved the bad guy so much. The bad guy's like prominently on the cover, so I can't reveal that until we hit 8,000.
There you go. There you go. Well, fingers crossed we get to that
Yeah,
8,000. Plenty of time still for people to get in. And then, like you said, here is the team. Obviously, you got yourself there, John, but then we got Renzo right here, who has done a phenomenal. I mean, all the artwork looks absolutely incredible.
I already told Renzo if he doesn't want to work with him, there is no comic.
Yeah.
He, and he loves the characters. We get along really well. I absolutely love working with Renzo. Daniel De La, I keep saying his name wrong. Daniel De Silva Rodriguez.
Yeah.
He's in Brazil, and he's coloring a comic called Perfect Perfect 10 by Daniel Brink of Genuine Comics.
Mm.
And as I love that comic. If my comic is half as good as Perfect 10, I'm happy. That
Yeah.
right now is the best independent superhero comic book.
I'll have to
He's
look at it.
and
I
this
don't know about that one. Perfect 10.
Perfect 10 by Genuine Comics. Yeah, look up Genuine Comics on Twitter. Uh Absolute great guy. He's from the Netherlands, uh and I just he's a European who does American style comics
Yeah.
better. Like it looks like Image Comics, but if Image Comics had good writing,
Mm.
like I've been pretty harsh on early Image Comics.
Yeah.
They took
It was
all
all
the
about
they
the art,
took all the
right?
art. I'm sorry.
It was all about the art at the
It
end
was
of
all about
the
Image was the perfect name.
Yeah.
But so to just imagine those early Image Comics had
Yeah.
great writing, and oh man, this guy gets it. He designs superheroes with names like he does the superhero pyramid the way I think it should be done. Oh, and the last I said there's 3 things: it has to be a good name, good
Yeah.
symbol, and an elegant costume.
Hmm.
Superhero costumes have to be simple and elegant, and
Yeah.
Dave Brink does that all.
Yeah.
But anyway, I asked him, would you be okay if I contacted your colorist? And he was like, yeah, the guy, it's a business. These guys want to make money, So contacted Daniel. What a gentleman! Oh my God, such a pleasure to work with. I said I assembled the Avengers
Yeah.
and then this is Bill Williams. It's funny because somebody messaged me that there was a comic in the '90s called Heroic Tales, and I was
Mm,
like, uh oh, do I have to change the title up? So I reached out to Bill, and he said, no, he goes, I took the title from a comic in the '40s, so so go ahead, use it, And
that's
then I had him on my channel. We talked, and he was like, "Do you need a letterer?" And I was like, "Yes, I do need a letterer." I didn't contact. So Bill, great guy. He loves comics. He's been doing comics his whole life. Right now, he has a comic called The Pantheon
mm,
that he does with Phil Whedon, and it is an awesome comic.
yeah.
And he writes it. He does the lettering. So my lettering is going to be top notch lettering. I'm sending him to the art by Ron Moscicki. Everything segues. He's doing the backup called Unheroic Tales, and
That's
he's an
right.
artist. He has a comic called Nano 13 right now. That's his own comic.
Mm,
So I was gonna have a backup as a stretch goal when I hit 3,000.
yeah.
And Ron was like, "Yeah, I'm doing my own comic," and I was like, "I got to ask him to do it now
Yeah.
because he's going to be busy." So it
So is
worked
the
out.
backup story, John, related to the Patriarch, or is it a completely different story that we're getting with that backup?
It's a completely different story. It's the
Okay,
origin of a bad guy,
gotcha.
Lucius Kane. Lucius Kane is the mayor of Science City. So
Oh,
it's set in 1999 when Lucius Kane started his political career in Chicago, and then he moves down to Science City, which is located in Arizona because it's all solar powered. I read someplace that if they were to build like a 10 mile by 10 mile solar panel grid system outside of Yuma, Arizona, they can make enough power to power the United States. I don't know if this is true or not, but it
actually,
sounded
Elon
good.
Musk said that. Elon Musk said that
Oh,
if they
Elon
really
Musk
wanted
said
to
that.
get serious,
So
yeah, they could do that.
Elon Musk, I got to let him know that he should support my comic because he. So I was kind of fascinated by that. So Science City is somebody taking that idea and
Uh,
building a solar powered, economical green, and it goes wrong because it's a comic book.
yeah, yeah, of
So
course.
so Ron is drawing the origin of, they call him the suit because he always wears this. It's like his lucky suit. It's this beautiful suit that he's, because comic book guys always have a costume, right?
Yeah,
And if you're the mayor, you're not going to wear a costume. You know, you're not going to have the frills and whatever. So a helmet. So his costume is his suit that he always wears. So behind his back, they call him the suit, and he's drawing that. And Lucius Kane, the mayor of Science City. So of
yeah.
course, I'm doing all the comic book tropes. There's going to be the evil politician. There's going to be the evil industrialist. You know, there's going to be the evil general. There's always evil generals. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
how does anything get done in the United States Army in comic books when every general is like, a supervillain in disguise or working for Doctor Doom or the Red Skull or something? But all that stuff. And then uh, underneath is the colorist,
Yeah.
Oscar Carano. He's the colorist for Ramos. Great colorist, great guy. He asked me if I would promote. He's available for work. You
Okay.
could see there's his Twitter. He responds. He's a good guy, professional.
Love it. Love it. We'll
Uh,
put
he,
them up then. We'll make
yeah,
sure to
yeah.
put
So if you need a
this
colorist,
below too. That way someone can reach out to him very easily.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is the Avengers. I had a couple of stumbles. I hired people that I shouldn't have hired. Hindsight is 2020. But
Yep, I've done
so
that.
next, and I also went a little crazy. Like I got ads in the comic,
I love it.
like old ads. So I hired some names, excuse me, that you're gonna know.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I can afford to all do that for issue two. That's up to you guys. We
Yes.
you know I put the stretch goal to 8,000 because
Well,
that's that's that'll
you're
cover all the
doing
costs.
absolutely. I mean, yeah, obviously the 3,700 is awesome. Your goal was 1,000, but I think what is even more impressive, John, is the 126 backers. That's always amazing when you get over 100. And
Yeah.
for your first comic, John, that's pretty impressive, man. I mean, you're well on your way to probably reaching that 8,000 if that's the real goal. We all know, man, a comic book is not cheap, man. I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
My wife
I
said
had
it's the most expensive hobby that she's ever seen in my life. She goes, "When are you going
yeah.
to make money on this thing?" I'm like, "I'm not sure if I ever will. I just love it."
I don't want to sound like one of these like crazy Marvel guys who are like, oh, don't worry, guys, I'm not making a profit. No, I want to make a profit, but I'll be happy to break even, you
Yeah.
know. And I got about I say 20 scripts, but I think in all actuality I have like 22 scripts in various stages of completion. But I named the comic Heroic Tales not the Patriarch
Hmm.
because it was originally going to be an anthology. Every issue was going to be a different superhero.
Mm,
And I started to see like fan art of the Patriarch, and people would tell me, "Oh, this character is important. The way you talk about fatherhood stuff."
yeah.
And I think I would have gotten like some rage if the next issue didn't have the Patriarch. So
Yes.
I'm like, you know what? You dance with the one that brought you.
Yeah.
Patriarch is going to be the flagship. He's going to be in every issue. But so I'm not going to have variant covers. What I'm going to have is two covers for every comic. So you look at the comic, Heroic Tales featuring the Patriarch. You flip it over, Heroic Tales featuring the next character. So
Nice.
there's going to be two complete stories in every issue. I want to try to keep it $10. You know, as you know, I think comics should be affordable. It's
Yep.
also all ages. Uh, I might stretch that a little bit, but I won't cross the line. I'll say this issue is the pa- the patriarch story is easily like GPG, but then there's a scene in the backup story that I'm like, ooh, I didn't realize how harsh it looked until I saw it drawn and colored.
Yeah, yeah,
So you know,
yeah.
but
Well,
you know,
you have
but it's
something
a
to
bad
look
guy.
forward
Bad guys do bad things. You
Yeah,
know,
they do. They do. All right, let me get out of this, John.
sure.
There we go. So this is awesome, man. Congratulations. That is absolutely looks beautiful. Like I said, Renzo is killing it on the art. That's obviously when I went to the Fund My Comic, we're like, oh wow, this looks amazing. So congrats, man. Not easy to get to this point. And
No,
it's fun when you get there though.
yeah. So far, it's been fun.
Yeah.
You know, drawing the comic. I mean, writing the comic, seeing the art come in. That's been fun. Now, it's the work portion.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta deal with the printers, talk to the printers, get samples made, get the comic printed, and then bag and board it and mail them. That's the stuff that's going to be work. But
Yeah.
I think I can handle it. I was going to get Critical Blast to do the fulfillment.
Yeah.
I give shout out to Critical Blast. He's been a big help. But so far, like I want to have the problem where I need Critical Blast. That means it's
Yeah.
more than I can handle.
Right.
My
Yeah.
goal is to try to have it all shipped out within a week. So far, I think I could do it. Maybe I'm naive, but if I get like up to 200 backers, I'm probably going to need a fulfillment service, you know, because I work a full-time job. I can't take the time off. You know,
Yeah.
by the time I get home from work, the post office is already closed. So
Yeah.
that's a problem that I would like to have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when can fans expect their comic to ship? When is the
Okay, good question. I put in there September.
Okay, perfect.
No,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. I'm sorry. I put in there October. So
October. Okay.
October. Now keep in mind, Renzo finished drawing.
Yeah.
So the art is done. The last couple of pages are being colored. Um, the backup is done. It's being lettered, and we're working on the stretch goals. Renzo is starting issue number 2 tomorrow. I'm sending him the script tonight. So I just got to get the main story lettered,
Yeah.
and and then I got to deal with. I never had a comic printed before, so I'm anticipating. Okay, this doesn't look right. This is wrong. You know, whatever. You know, I don't even know what problems to anticipate because I've never done it before. But
Right.
Brian again has been very helpful sharing his information and dealing with how to get the cards made up because he has cards in his campaign. Tonic Ball, I don't know if you know Tonic Ball. He does a comic called Saving the World.
No, I
He
don't. I
it's
have to
it.
check that out.
I love Saving the World. I love Tonic Ball. It's funny because when you see him, he plays this spacey pot smoking stoner, and then when you talk to him, he's like a wise sage off camera. You know, I've been talking to Pete Zametti, who's been very helpful.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's been helpful. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'd like to think I know what problems, but I'll invent a new problem.
Yeah.
So I gave myself more time. I'm taking the Scotty from Star Trek.
There you go.
Bro, Captain, we need 6 hours. when I really only need a half hour. So everybody
Yeah.
thinks I'm a miracle worker. If it's later than October, there's been a major problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is my plan. I shows you what a rookie I am. I accidentally made the Fund My Comic campaign really long,
Yeah.
and I think so there's no urgency to buy the comic right now. But I don't want to. I can't change it. It already started, so it says 105 days.
Yeah.
Everybody else had 60 days or something like that. So I think I did it 4 months
Yeah.
instead of 2 months, and then I want to do Kickstarter for 2 months, and I want to do Indiegogo for 2 months. So by the time I'm going to Indiegogo, everybody else should be getting their comics.
Yeah.
And then when Indiegogo closes down, I want to start to fund my comic for issue 2.
Ah,
So that's kind of the way I want to do a cycle. So I ideally would like to do 3 issues a year if the fans let me.
yeah.
But I think realistically I can only do 2 until I get some experience in the printing and
Sure.
fulfilling things like that.
Yeah. I
So
think two to three is about average for most indie creators. That's a lot when you're doing everything on your own, right?
right. Yeah, I
I've
don't
met
have the
a couple
infrastructure yet.
folks that have done like 6 and 10 a year, and I don't know how they do it. I
Like
couldn't do it for the job. That's
Brian
crazy.
does like 3, maybe 4 a year,
Brian does,
but
yeah.
he's his own artist. He's his own, and he's vastly talented. And at this point, he's a pro.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I
So
think he just was it his 25th year of Wolf and
yeah,
Moxy,
yeah,
something like that.
he's self-publishing like big graphic novels,
Yeah,
and then when he went to Alterna, he was doing floppy comics.
yeah.
And he doesn't know, I don't know how he's going to proceed, but he wants to make it to issue 13 because it's a horror comic.
Of course, yes.
So he wants to do an oversized 13 issue. And then after that, he says he doesn't know how he's going to proceed. And it's not my story to tell what
Yeah.
Brian's going to do. So
Well, he just had a very successful campaign, so
yeah,
I would think that that would be pretty encouraging to get even more Wolf and Batsy. But I know he said in his back pocket he's got a lot of stories that
yeah,
even he
he
hasn't
says
even
he has,
released.
I think he says that he has like 20 issues of content already, and he's
Yeah,
only up to issue 13, like done.
yeah,
Because that's he's a crazy person in a positive way. He says
he
like
is.
every day he sets aside time to
Yeah,
to uh to write and draw. And
yeah,
me, I wake up at 4:30 in the morning and I
yeah,
come home at 5:30. I do all this. So really Saturdays and Sundays is the only time I get to do comic book stuff, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all
But
right.
yeah, like right as soon as we're done, I'm gonna finish up the script for
Exactly.
Renzo.
Well, John, I'll make sure we put all the links below.
Oh, thank you.
Anybody that is listening to this, you got to get over to Fund My Comic. You got to get the heroic tales. You got to see what's going to happen with the Patriarch. The art is absolutely phenomenal. Congratulations on all of that, John. It looks absolutely amazing, man.
It looks better than I imagined. It's so
Yeah.
good. It's so good.
Yeah, it's so hard to make a comic book, and when you see quality like that, especially on your first one, that's pretty impressive. You could
Yeah.
tell that you've had a lot of really great people in your ear, kind of giving you great advice because
Yes,
it seems like it's
absolutely.
been good.
Everybody's been so helpful. Everybody's been so friendly.
Yeah,
Everybody's been reaching out, and I'm receptive to their help too. I don't have the ego like, oh, I can do it. I can. No,
yeah,
everybody who said something I listened to.
absolutely, absolutely. That's how you get better, right? And I started my YouTube channel for the same reason you did. There's a lot of selfishness in that, just to be able to hear and learn from a lot of amazing people. And I hope I'm better for it. And obviously you are. So that's pretty fun, man. You've had some pretty good legends on your show too.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm in the talks with some more. I,
Yeah.
I kind of slacked off on the. I was like pursuing big names, but the past couple of months I've been doing my comics, so I kind of stopped being a bulldog about getting people on. But now I think it's time to
Yeah.
get back. I got some big names hopefully coming up soon.
Well, good. I can't wait, man. I enjoy your content. I'm always on, listening. So not always live, but I always try to go
Yeah,
back. I always have some
that
great.
helps too.
Yeah.
And I love the comments. People. I love when people. Oh, I couldn't watch it live, but blah blah blah. I love that. It's like I come home, I sit in this chair, I check my mail, go through the
Yeah.
comments. It's my routine. I love it.
I love
And I
it.
keep getting distracted. I keep looking at all the figures in your background.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we got
It's
quite a
mostly
few.
DC, huh?
It's mostly DC. I have all my Marvel over here. So I
Oh, okay.
I have my Marvel Select right there from Diamond Toys, which is my favorite because I am a McFarlane fan, so I like the 7-inch figures. But I do have a couple shelves, probably about 150 or so Legends. And of course, I have more of my Spawn and all that. And then down here, I do like anime a little bit too. So I got my My Hero Academia, and I got
I
my
got I got to read
over
that.
here on this side. I have a few more. I'm a big Conan the Barbarian fan. It's one of my favorite comics of all
All
time.
right, I love that Jonah Hex.
Oh, the Jonah Hex is amazing. Jimmy Palmiotti is one of my favorites. Fantastic Four is one of my favorite
Yeah,
comic books
that's my
of all
all-time
time.
favorite comic of all time, the
I
Fantastic.
love it. I love it. And then, I love Invincible. And so I got quite a few, man, quite a few things going on. And yeah, it's fun, man. It keeps me busy. All my kids are older now, so I have a little bit more money to buy stupid stuff like this. Uh,
I've been avoiding buying figures because they just go right into a bin. You know,
Yeah, nah.
I
If
I
if
went
they
into
have to
my
go to the bin, I'll stop buying them because, and my wife's made it very clear, this is the room that I could do whatever I want with. Nothing leaves this room, so it has to stay here. So I'm starting to get to close to capacity on a lot of this stuff. So I have to be careful and more selective on the figures that I buy now.
it's funny because with the figures, I just want the character.
Yeah,
If the character is more important than the figure, if that makes any
yeah,
sense. So
yeah,
if I get a new Hal Jordan and it's better, like
yeah.
I won't get a new Hal Jordan unless it's better. Then
Right.
the old one will go to a nephew.
Oh, there you go. That's a
You
good way to
know what
do
I
it.
mean? So at one point, I went to my nephew's house with a bin full of toys.
Oh, how cool.
My sister-in-law said that he was like overwhelmed. He was like, it was like more toys than he got like his whole life worth of Christmases.
Yeah.
But so like the only exception, I don't know why, I have like every Superman and
There you go.
like different versions of Superman. So I'll have the Golden Age Superman, the John Byrne Superman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman. I'll
Yeah.
have like different versions of, but everybody else, you know, if there's a new version of Cyborg that's better than my other Cyborg,
Yeah.
sorry. And
Exactly.
now I'm mad because I got rid of all my superpowers. The original
Oh, did
super,
you? Yeah.
yeah.
All those things are going for crazy prices right
I
now.
know. Well, they were opened up and well played with, and I got them like
too.
when I was in junior high school, the original ones, and
Yeah.
now I'm mad that I got rid of the superpowers.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what do you do, right? What do you do?
Yeah.
It's still pretty fun though, man. So, John, what was your first comic book you ever bought? Was someone who has 55,000 comic
Yeah,
books?
everybody asks me this question, and we can't let them know. But I was just on the gutter Saturday night,
Uh-huh.
and they asked me beforehand. They wanted to prepare, and I said Fantastic Four 186, but it was really Fantastic Four 187. So I did an hour talk about the wrong comic because I didn't want to. They prepared and I couldn't change. But the first comic I ever bought with my own money was Fantastic Four 187, where the Claw breaks into the Baxter building to steal like the wand to make the Molecule Man. But
Uh,
Reed Richards gets tricked into touching it and becomes the Molecule Man. Oh, I love that. That's George Perez, Len Wein, and Joe Sinnott. Oh, man. That, and it's really confusing because it starts off, they're finishing up another adventure. They're bickering over stuff that happened a couple of issues before. Then they go to the Impossible Man, who's already defeated, laying on the ground. So you're like, what's going on? But like I tell people, it was worth the work to figure it out. And
yeah.
this was before comic book stores. So I had to go literally on my bicycle. I had to sneak on buses. I wasn't allowed to take buses at the time. So I would, don't make sure nobody could see me, get on a bus, go to the next town, go to other comic book stores or not comic book stores, stationery stores,
Yeah.
and look to find this stuff, come home. If I came home with a comic book, my mother just figured I went to the local 7-Eleven. But you
Yeah.
know what I mean? I used it to find out because it was worth it
Yeah. Yeah.
you know and that was my first. But I have two older brothers and I have two older sisters, so there was always comics in my house.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But that was the first one I bought with my own money. And my favorite issue that everybody always asks, what's your favorite issue, is Avengers 165,
Which
where
one's that one?
Count Nefaria beats up the Avengers. It's in the middle of a three-part story. I didn't get the first part, I didn't get the last part. Like, I always say that's the Empire Strikes Back,
Yeah.
because it ends on a downer. And I didn't know what happened, and it was years before I got the conclusion, because I must have got it past the date of return. So, the next Avengers, I think, was like Ant-Man beating up the event. You know what I mean? So months gone by So I just happened to find this. And me and my friend Mike, we acted it out. We drew, we put tracing paper all over it. It was so beat up, I had to buy a new copy
Yeah.
because it was, all crinkly and everything. I love that. Those are the two, like, and then Thor, I think it was 186. Walt Simonson's drawing Thor smashing the destroyer over the head with the hammer. So those are like the three comics that I bought with my own money.
That's
And
cool.
then, and then they, like, again, people like other friends, they would like, oh, they would have comics and like, yeah, they got to clean up the room, so they're gonna throw them away. I'm like, I'll take those.
Yeah.
I'll take those. So I got a lot of comics from other people that didn't want them. And then even as an adult, I'd be at work talking about comics. The guy's like, I got a box of comics in my garage. You want them? Yeah. You
I'll
know,
take them.
yeah. So they'll give me comics. And if it's worth anything, I'll give them money or at least tell them so they can keep that. I don't want to take their, but
Yeah.
a lot of times a guy gave me a box of comics and they were just covered in black mold.
Oh,
So I was just like, I don't even want to touch these. Throw these effing comics away. Don't even bring them back to your house. And he was like,
yeah.
really? I was like, yeah, this is black mold.
Oh, that's
You know,
dangerous.
they were like wet to the touch.
Oh,
They were
wow.
so slimy with
Yeah.
mold.
Probably just sitting in the garage during all that moisture
Exactly.
in the winter and stuff. Yeah, yeah. So
And
where do
and
you
you
keep
must have had,
55,000 comics?
what's that?
Where do you keep 55,000 comics?
Okay. Now, how do I share on this on Zoom?
So on the very bottom, you'll see it right in the middle. There is a button that says share. Just go ahead
Oh,
and
there you go. It's not there unless you're okay. I got to show the picture then.
all right.
I have it loaded up on my dashboard or desktop rather. So people can. Where is it? Share. Can you see
Oh,
that?
wow. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I've
So
seen you in this room on some of your videos. So this is in your house then.
yes, this is right behind me.
Oh, okay.
This is right behind me. I'm a construction worker, so I had a guy help me with the sheetrock because you know, and I had a guy spackle, but I did pretty much everything else because I didn't want to look at bad spackling for the next 20 years. But we built this. I measured, I put this so it's what 6 high, and then keep in mind this is me taking the picture, but there's also boxes behind me too. So
Wow.
it's like 150 something boxes.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah, up here, up that box closest to the Y is A, and then underneath it in alphabetical order. So A whatever, and I'm up to right over here next to me is box 60, and box 60 is the end of the Fantastic Four.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So and I
And
don't.
what titles do you have full runs on so far?
Oh, it's a better question of what don't I have.
Oh, there you go.
I bought a I went through a period of buying collections from people. So
Hmm.
I pretty much have full runs of the Fantastic Four. Not pretty much. I have full runs of the Fantastic Four except for issue number
Hmm.
2. I have full runs of Avengers, Thor, Doctor Strange,
Wow.
Ghost Rider, Defenders, Marvel Team Up, 2-in-1, Daredevil. I'm
Wow.
talking from 1 up. Spider-Man, I have from 25 up.
Yeah.
I'll never get those
Yeah, maybe
early
you win the
issues.
lottery and you could fill in those first 25, right?
But then again, I never thought I would find, you know, Daredevil #1.
Yeah.
This is the story of how I got to, and it's in great shape.
Yeah.
I was in a comic book store and I used to call it the A to Z. I would just go start and I just pull out comics. And all this is me as an adult. So I drive, in Long Island. They all knew me. They just, hi, how you doing? Oh, John's here. And they're like, yeah, well, $200. When I walked in the door, it was $200 or whatever. So I
Yeah.
would just spend hours just going through the A to Z, and I carried my list of comics that I wanted. And some kid came in the store, and the owner of the store was like definition of like a curmudgeon. He was just so this kid came in and he had a bag and he goes, "You want to buy some comics?" And the guy goes, "Do I want to buy comics? Do you want to buy comics? Do you want?" That's the question. Because if you don't want to buy comics, you get out of this store right now. I sell the comics. You buy the comics.
What?
And the kid was like, "All right," he left. And my spider sense went off. I said, "I want to see what this kid has."
Yeah.
I walked outside. I followed him. And I was like, "Hey, kid, what do you got?" And he was like, "Oh, first comic, Daredevil #1." I don't even remember what was in the back, but it was a whole bag of comics. I was like, "What are you asking for it?" And he was like, $60. I didn't even want to
Uh,
argue.
Done.
I was like $60. So I got Daredevil #1. I'm talking like I I don't grade comics because that just causes. And it's funny because I bought it and then I walked right into the store and showed him, look what I just bought from that kid you chased out. And he was like,
Dude, that's a steal, John. That is
oh, and it
amazing.
probably was a steal. This kid probably took it from his dad and didn't know
I
any.
know. That's
So,
amazing though, man. That's
and then
incredible.
I bought full runs from other people, like just keep my ear to the ground. And then lately I've been, not because I almost don't have any more room for comics. You know,
Yeah.
I got bins of toys in the shed that's supposed to be for lawn mowing equipment. But
Yeah.
it's funny. I have a shed. You open it up, it's toys.
And your lawnmower sitting outside.
Well, I don't have a lawnmower.
Oh,
hire a guy to do the lawn.
there you go. That's better. You work it.
He comes like every 2 weeks or so, mows the lawn. I'm happy. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter. They come with like 30 people. They're done in like 15 minutes. It's great. I, you
I
know,
love it. I love
yeah.
it. I love it.
And
Well,
it's
John,
like you said, your wife lets you have this room.
yep.
When we were looking for a house, we were living in a 1 bedroom apartment in Queens, and
55,000 comics in there?
no, that it was in storage. I was paying
Oh, I was gonna
sixty
say.
dollars a month for storage.
Yeah.
But my wife had all her. As much as I like comics, she likes Christmas, so
Oh,
she had
okay.
Chris.
Yeah.
She likes all the holidays,
Yeah.
so she had storage units for holidays for and we're all just and you couldn't fit anything else in the storage unit, and it was insane because once I filled up a long box full of comics, I would go to the storage unit and I couldn't organize. It was
Yeah.
insane, you know. And I'm like, COVID happened. I'm living in Queens and restaurants are closing. People aren't coming out of the house. People are getting nasty in the streets. Why aren't you wearing a mask? I'm like, because I'm walking by myself down the street. Why are you yelling at me? So I told her, well, we got to get out of here. This is getting crazy. For the money that we're paying, the restaurants are closed. Nobody's going to work, so the cars aren't moving. So
Yeah.
like you can't park anywhere. I was like parking miles away from my house. I was like, oh man. So we found a house, you know, if you include the storage, we're still the mortgage is cheaper than our rent in the
Yeah.
5 boroughs. I say I'm out in the sticks, but I'm sticks for New Yorkers.
Yeah.
And I told the real estate agent the house has to have either a garage or a basement,
Hmm.
because I want to make comic book room. I'm into board games. If
Yeah.
in front of me over here is a gigantic board game table. So we look at this house and I'm like, all right, it's got a small garage, but I really like this house. So I'm in the garage going, okay, I could do something with this. This is good. And we walk around the house and my wife instantly loves it. It's old fashioned. She's like, it looks like the hobbits could live here, which is true. It's like a little hobbit house. She goes, you want to see the basement? I'm like, basement.
Yes.
So we go down the basement and it looked like a dungeon. It looked like people would keep people captive in this basement. It was unfinished. How they had 5 people living in this house and didn't finish the basement, I
Oh,
don't
wow.
know. But it was dusty and spider webs and it was funny because the kids drew like graffiti on the walls, but they drew clowns and it was terrifying. So you're in the basement shining a flashlight and there's these scary clowns all over. My wife would not come down the basement. And I'm like, this is great, you know. And we bought the house, tore everything down, put up sheetrock. I wanted to paint it as bright as possible because it's a basement. And now, I say it's a schizophrenic house. My wife has upstairs, I have downstairs, and she does whatever she goes, what if I want to paint pink and polka dots? I said, that's what you do because you
Knock
don't
yourself
bust
out.
my chops down here. I don't bust your chops up there.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
And are those all board games behind you?
Yeah. On the shelf, it's all toy props and then board games behind me. And then here,
I love
it's
it,
dark
man.
because the overhead light just makes me look bad. But you see shelves with all board
Oh, wow.
games.
Wow. You do like board games.
Yeah. So
That's awesome, John.
and then you can see
That
a
is
big
so
table right there
cool,
filled
man.
with board game, a TV, popcorn maker, and then the other side is more board games.
Wow.
And then sorry to get you dizzy, but there's
No,
my
you're
comic
good.
book spinner rack.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I gotta get me a
Yeah.
spinner rack, man.
Yeah,
They're expensive, man. You try to find those like on eBay, and people want like
well,
600 bucks for them.
yeah, they want a ridiculous price. So what you do is you go to a comic book store
Uh huh.
and Diamond will sell them.
Oh, okay.
Diamond won't sell them to you. They'll sell them to comic book stores. So go to a comic book store and tell them you want a spinner rack, and they're probably going to do the same thing that they did to me. Is that they're not going to trust you. They're like, why do I? I'm not going to order spin. So you pay. I paid for it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I paid for it, and then I waited like a month for it to come in, and then I panicked because it wouldn't fit in my car. I had to like, you know, I had to open up the
Get it
window.
on top of the roof and you're holding it while you're driving.
So I got the spinner rack and set it up, and yeah,
You got to have a spinner rack, man. It just
yeah, yeah,
brings so
yeah,
much memories, right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's go. I'm sure you got a friendly comic book store that you
Oh
go
yeah,
to.
my comic book store. I'm really good friends with the owner, Ambrose. He's a good friend of mine, so that
Yeah,
won't be an issue.
yeah. And
Yeah, I
then you
didn't know
probably
that.
won't have to pay up front if he knows you. You know.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome, man. I'll definitely do that. I'll definitely do that because it's got to
What?
be cheaper than the online, man. It's crazy on YouTube on
Yeah,
eBay.
and then if you get them on eBay, they might be vintage. They might be 40 years old, but they're rusting, and some of them don't spin because you
Yeah,
know. So this one's brand new. It's quiet. You
yeah.
know, the only thing is it says "Hey Comics" instead of "Hey Kids Comics" like it
Oh
used to
yeah,
say. But
yeah.
that's an easy enough fix. I can make a sign.
There you go. There you go. Well,
So
John, man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on, man. It's a pleasure
yeah,
meeting
thanks
you.
for having me.
I feel like I know you because I watch a lot of your videos already. Anyways, my favorite interview, only because I love Jimmy Palmiotti, but him and Amanda when they were on your podcast was awesome. They're supposed to be on mine, and I think in a month.
Oh,
Um,
cool. Good.
and
Tell them I said hello.
I
They, they're,
will.
they're great. They're great.
Oh,
You
they're
know.
amazing. And he's got that new Spawn Gunslinger title coming, so we're going to talk a little bit about that, which will be a lot of fun, especially after his incredible run of Jonah Hex. I cannot wait to see
Yep.
what he
I
does with
just
it.
got his comic.
Yeah,
If
I just got mine too. The fat I just it just got in the mail. I think I have it right here somewhere, but yeah,
yeah.
it
And
just
did
arrived.
you get the Hunters, the cowboy comic, the Hunters? It was
Yes.
awesome.
I got the Hunters, and then I also there was an add-on of a Power Girl issue 1 that was signed by Jimmy and Amanda too. So I added that on too, just
Oh,
because
cool.
I'm a fanboy of both of them. I think they're amazing.
Jimmy was on twice. The first time it was just Jimmy,
Oh,
and then the
okay.
second time was Jimmy and Amanda. But while Jimmy and I were talking, Amanda opened the door and said, "I'm going to the supermarket. Do you want?" And then waved. I was like, "Ah!" I got all like fanboy gushy, you know?
Yes, incredible, incredible couple, man. That what they've
Yeah,
done in comics and what they're doing on the independent side is absolutely amazing.
yeah, yeah,
They're just
yeah.
great. They're just
They
great.
they they, they are the real deal.
The real deal for sure.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah. All right, Mr. John. Well, I appreciate you coming on. You're
yeah.
always
Thanks for having me. It
my
was a
friend.
blast.
And yeah, we'll make sure that we put all the information below for you to go to fund my comic. Make sure that you're getting Heroic Tales. You will not be disappointed. Amazing art, awesome story. And yeah, if there's anything else, John, let me know. But
Oh, thank you.
until then, my friend, I really appreciate you, and we will see you soon.
Thanks for having me on. I love talking comics with people who love comics. It's a blast.
Absolutely, my friend. Well, I hope you
All
have a
right,
good Sunday.
you too. Bye bye.
All right, bye bye.